Recording, good. So I decided to propose a different approach to the whole thought process over here. Instead of referring to the Eitz Chaim and the Rebbe Rashab and whatever else, let the thought process go within your own mind, your own reasoning. Like I said, everybody, you listen to, you heard my talk on intellect versus instinct?
No.
Oh, come on. So, here's what I propose. Do not refer to any names along the way. Just the idea. The idea is that in order that there should be a creation, there had to be a tzimtzum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Suppose that you yourself realize there has to be a tzimtzum. You have such primary reality, or the most rishon, to create a world that is not a rishon by nature. You have to retract the rishon element and allow for a novelty to come from. Okay, so it had to be a tzimtzum. And then, after the tzimtzum, you're going to create a world, and you're going to create a world. What's going to be bestowed? What is going to be what's going to be given to the world? Is it created in a vacuum? Are you going to give anything to the world if you create it, or are you going to just let it flow on its own? The question is extremely simple.
You're going to give.
Huh? No. You jump at the answer. I understand. The question is very simple. You built a house. Are you now going to wait until the house furnishes itself? Or you're going to provide furnishings for the house? Think to yourself. Are you going to wait for the house to furnish itself? Excuse me?
No.
Or come back to you and demand, come on, give me a piece of furniture?
No.
No. Not even when somebody visits your home and he says, Akiva, I have no place to sit down, give me a chair. You're not going to wait for that. You're not going to invite anybody into your home unless you have provisions for that invitation. And these provisions you're going to think of on your own. Where are you going to get that thought? You're nothing compelling. The house, you built a house, okay, finished. What's going to make you say, okay, now I have a house, I have to furnish it to prepare it for use? Why? What's going to compel you to do that? What's the answer? That in your own concept of making a house is already contained in some kind of a deep, essential way. That there is a way how you use a house. The house is not going to use itself and it's not going to provide for its use. You have to provide for it. And you think very hard to yourself, okay, I made a house. But how do you use the house? What's the difference between I have a house or I'm in the street? The answer is in the street. If I put a chair out in the street, the next moment somebody comes back and says, hey, you're in my way, move it away. In the house, that's not the case. It's demarcated, it's just my room, my area. In the house I can put up the furnishings whichever way I want. And it's not going to be moved unless I decide to move it. This I project at the onset when I build a house. This ideas that there is a means by which you use a house this comes to you after the house is built. In other words, after you already decided that you have to withdraw your essential reality. And you ask the question, why did I wait for him? Why couldn't I perceive before when I even, at the time when I perceived the house, and even before that, I knew that there has to be a way how you're going to use the house. Why I have to go through a whole process, a whole stage? First conceptualize the house. In other words, not to live in the street, not to live in the field, but to live in a demarcated area. And then I begin to think of how you're going to use it. Why? Since using it is part of the nature of how you live, why couldn't I think of it before? In other words, the question is very, very direct. In fact, why do I need a house to put up furnishings? I'm going to buy a table and chairs and put them on right there in the field. And I can make it very comfortable for you. See, the table and chairs concept comes from the same idea that you have to make a house. So I have it initially. Why do I have to wait until the house is built and then start thinking about the tables and chairs? I'll put them right there in the field. So you think to yourself and say, no, it's not going to work. Because in order to be able to relate to a table and chairs, you have to be able to relate. You have to relate to a demarcated area. It can be the open field. You can't even think of resting in the middle of the field. Like we said the other day, the most comfortable bed outside of your home is not as comfortable as a simple cot in your home. Because I'm trying to accommodate not the hands and feet of the human being, but his soul, his life element, what he relates to. And in order to do that, I have to provide for that. I have to give cognizance, yes, he's for real. I have to show respect for his life itself, not for his hands and feet. I'm preparing a table with chairs and I'm putting up food, and the man comes and says, I can't eat in the middle of the wilderness. I have to have some privacy when I eat. So right there in your own thought process, you come to the conclusion that they have to limit the sense of the reality in which you are, in order to provide for that type of a usage, or that type of experience. Although, yes indeed, you already realize originally that there is a way to use a house, but you could not come up with it. Because your whole orientation is in the total open field reality, and you want to experience the open field reality. So you cannot focus and limit it to a table and chairs. It's completely out of context. In order to sit on the chair has to have a right of being there. Middle of the field, it doesn't fit. Which is why you had to kind of limit the area in which you are the playing field, not the open reality, open and infinite reality, and then we can talk about usage, creating a usable place, usable utensils and furnishings and so forth. Okay. This is what we are talking about here. Except we had names. We had the Arizal, we had Chaim and the Rebbe, and going back and forth. All right?
All right.
Huh?
Okay.
Let's put it inside what we're talking about, talking the same principles. The Arizal said that there was a complete withdrawal, tzimtzum, totally, of the oil, of the original oil. And then he asks himself, why did I say that had to be a complete withdrawal? Why wasn't it sufficient just to remove the oil inside? And then he goes back and he asks himself, if I remove the oil inside, where am I going to get the furnishings from? Thinking deeply, he says, no, the furnishings can be conceptualized from within the oil inside itself. I can project that eventually you'll have to have furnishings. So then I ask myself, if that's the case, so why do I need any kind of withdrawal? Put the furnishings right there in the middle of the field. And I realized that cannot work. Those furnishings are not going to represent anything. The furnishings we're referring to as a sphirot agnosis. As a sphirot agnosis cannot be identified while the oil in soif is in full gili. So this whole discussion here, the Chaim and the Rebbe Shab, which is all within the same reality, the same thought process. It's not one against the other. The Rebbe Rashab is explaining what is the thought process of the Arizal. Is that helpful?
Yes.
All right. As I said, the most deepest point in here that I would like that we should actually understand in our seichel is the moshel from Ziv HaShemesh b'Shemesh. Up until that point, we are talking, so to speak, in generalities. Within safe, and there's a sphirot, but this gives us a concrete challenge. Beetle Ziv HaShemesh b'Shemesh. The ray of the sun is bottled within the sun. Why is it? The ray of the sun is the same as the sun. The sun is brightness. The ray of the sun is brightness. Why is it the ray of the sun is bottled in the sun? It's the same thing. So you are a little bit more bright than I am. Therefore, I'm a nothing. We're saying, no, Ziv HaShemesh b'Shemesh is a non-existent, is as if he doesn't exist, a total pure beetle. Why? And the answer is, okay, let's look inside. Okay, third line, in the middle of the third line. Okay, beetle Ziv HaShemesh b'Shemesh. What happens over there? The mipnei oyer, that because of the fact and in the presence of the oyer, of the presentation of the guf ve'etzem HaShemesh, of the guf of the body, and the etzem HaShemesh and the essence of the shemesh. Presentation of the body of the shemesh, not the light of the shemesh, the shine of the shemesh, the brightness of the shemesh. No, the very presence of the shemesh itself. Shemeir Shom, where this oyer, this presence of the guf etzem HaShemesh is meir, there inside the shemesh is meir, the guf etzem HaShemesh. Also mean the body of the shemesh is meir Shom. The ray of the sun is meir. I mean the body of the shemesh is meir. What kind of oil does the body of the shemesh represent? You understand my question?
Yes.
What kind of oil is this? I mean, oil, meir Shom, meir Shom. Why is it not meir outside of the shemesh? Outside of the shemesh there is also the ray of the shemesh, which comes from the body of the shemesh. What's the difference whether it's inside the shemesh or outside of the shemesh? To get a full handle on this, I'm going to again present another moshel that we can more readily identify this. The oil, guf HaShemesh, meir Shom, is shining there. We spoke about the host and the man in his own home. A king in a kingdom. The king is present in every last spot of his kingdom. If somebody is rebellious to the king, at the end of the kingdom, he is a rebel. Oh, this guy. Okay. Okay. He's doing his thing. Okay. Because the king's presence is everywhere. Compare the king's presence in every place in the kingdom. Compare it to the king's palace. Okay, let's think into this a bit. What is the difference? In fact, the presence of the king in the palace and throughout his kingdom. Anybody? You sure you want to take the challenge? This is a down to life, so to speak. Even though we don't have kings, but nonetheless we can kind of relate to this question. Nobody volunteers? I promise I'm not gonna scream. No? Samir Innocent.
The difference between in his palace versus in the rest of the kingdom.
Right.
I don't know if this is, I think in the rest of his kingdom there is, let's say, room for his subjects to, and the need for them to be doing their own thing, running their lives, being themselves under the king's domain. Whereas within the palace, we talked before about there's no room to distinguish between the common man and the highest general. It's a different setting. Outside the palace, this is the general, this is the commoner. In the palace, it's a different environment.
Okay, so why is that?
Can I try?
Yes, go ahead.
In the palace, you feel the king itself. Outside the palace is more the king's oil.
Right, the proper reference over here is the ziv, the shine, the effect, not the presence of the king. Oil we use over here also to guv ve'etzem hashemesh. Yes, that's the answer.
Is the ziv?
What
is the ziv?
Those are Hasidic terms. What does that mean to us practically?
You think about it. Outside of the palace, you have to follow through all the rules that the king has set up for his kingdom. And if you don't, then you're a rebel. Inside the palace, not think in terms of rules that the king set up. There you're conscious of the presence of the king directly. I'll give you an example from daily experience. You sit in shul, There's an Aron Kodesh over here. Inside the Aron Kodesh is a Sefer Torah. Why are we sitting? There's a Sefer Torah over here. In the presence of the Torah, it's on the you cannot sit. You have to stand. So how can you sit? No. So the Torah is inside the ark, and the ark is closed. So the presence of the Torah outside of that is indirect. It goes through a tzimtzum. And therefore, you're involved in doing your own thing. Surely you have to obey all the dinim that the Sefer Torah tells you to do. But that's in your own domain. You know the Sefer Torah, so to speak, through a secondary step. When the Sefer Torah, when the Aron Kodesh is open or the Sefer Torah is out, it's right there. Its presence is then dominant. The presence itself, not its message and its laws. Its presence itself is dominant. And then really you're not allowed to sit.
I mean, okay, we're looking at the case of the sun, and the way the ray is completely nullified there, the Guf HaShemesh. But the two Mashalim we had now, namely the king and the palace and the Sefer Torah and the shul, the people are not, they're attentive, or they stand, or they don't show, their own thoughts are not, they're not nullified out of existence.
Completely nullified.
Who? The people?
Yeah. If the Sefer Torah is out, I can't even sit.
You cannot sit, but people...
Why can't I sit? I prefer sitting. I'm much more comfortable sitting.
The king needs the people in his court to actually talk to him and bring...
No, he can't talk to him. When the Sefer Torah is out, you read the Sefer Torah, the Sefer Torah is out. It's mentally, it's bound up. And you can't sit.
This is true, but I don't forget Akiva's name when the Torah is out on the bima. I know who he is. That's disrespectful. I'm not
who he is only...
I'm attentive, I'm not mevatel, like the ray of the sun.
In the presence of Sefer Torah. The truth is, you cannot show deference to anything else but the Sefer Torah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, again, this is like making I don't exist, or that the Sefer Torah is but in our nimshal, namely the ray of the sun, it's not as if it is. Okay, I guess it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem to have the...
Okay, listen. Outside of the palace, you have the laws of the king. And the laws, and you're studying the laws of the king, says, oh, what a law, what a beautiful idea. Inside the palace, you're never going to say anything like that.
No, you won't, but again, the people who visit the palace do not disappear. For a while, they
disappear as entities. They don't think for themselves. They look at the king and that is their entire focus.
Okay.
Like you yourself said, there's no scholars and there's no simpletons in the presence of the king.
Mm-hmm.
This is called oir guf ve'etzem hashemesh. The oil of the body of the shemesh itself. What kind of oil is that of guf ve'etzem hashemesh? The body of the shemesh itself. We're not talking about the shine that illuminates the area around it. It is the shine, the oil of the guf etzem itself. What is the statement of the guf etzem hashemesh? What is the statement of that guf? The statement of that guf, like we said many times, not that I can illuminate the entire area. There is nothing but me. And the whole phenomenon of darkness doesn't exist. Can you think of darkness when the sun is shining? You can't even think of when the sun, in the presence of the sun. This is because the sun possesses the essence of light. It creates its own light. It's not light and in its body are two separate things.
It's not that light is body. I know, and here this is a common mashal in Chassidus, and yet it's very hard to think about it. Because
we're in the physical world. Because that's exactly
so used
right.
to a wick and a flame, like in Tanya right now.
That's right.
And the
That's
wick
right.
is dark.
A wick is dark because the wick does not create its own light. Whereas the sun creates its own light.
That's as if to take it out of the gather of creation.
What?
It
The sun?
creates its own light.
It creates its own light. That's what the Rebbe gave it. He created the body.
Right. So
It creates its own light.
It's a bria. It's a bria that's not really on the level of regular creation.
It's a bria. The Rebbe created light in the world.
And he had it concentrated there without combustion. It's a very
right.
unique bria.
That's right. Very, very unique bria. You know something? Your neshama is also very unique bria.
Right, but it's not something. My neshama is not something I could point to, like I can point to.
Yes,
the
you
sun.
can. Yes, you can. The Horaya, you get hurt, chas v'sholem, and the neshama forces your body to heal. This piece of flesh.
But that's the body again.
No. But the flesh heals because the neshama gives it life to heal.
Right, it's animating this goof. But
Not animating this. It gives it a different spirit.
Uh-huh.
It's not animating. See, that's again because we are used to it's a splitting of the molecules. No. From the goof has been hurt. From the neshama perspective level, it has never been damaged.
Right. Well, that's true though. My body does seem like it's has physical limitations, whereas by the sun we're saying no, it does not have.
Your body is not the essence. The neshama is the essence.
Right. We just use the body as
The
a way
neshama.
to point to it.
No. Not to point it, to recognize that there is something greater than the body.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is it for this morning. Phew.
Phew.
Okay. Every class I have to apologize, but it was meant in good spirit.
Ayin